Hi, everyone. My name is Mitch McMahon, Stormwater Utility Manager with Saskatoon Water. Today, I am going to present an overview on the flood control strategy and the flood mitigation project plan for the intersection of Early Drive and Tucker Crescent and Brevoort Park South beginning next year. The Saskatoon Water Department of the City of Saskatoon is responsible for the execution of the flood control strategy, which began in 2019 and will be complete before 2028. Over the next few minutes, I'll explain the flood control strategy as well as historical flooding in the area around Early Drive and Tucker Crescent. I'll introduce the stormwater storage methodology, identify the work areas, and let you know what to expect while the work is happening. At the end, I will leave you with options to contact us with further questions or concerns. We will be holding a public engagement event this fall. Area residents will receive a flyer once a date has been determined. The flood control strategy was initiated in 2014 after significant rain events occurred within the city. The early work included several modeling studies of the most at-risk flood locations within Saskatoon. Many of the most at-risk flood locations experienced significant rainstorms in July and August of 2017, which caused flooding and property damage. City Council then asked City Administration to identify a flood mitigation strategy and funding options to address flooding in various parts of the city. This strategy, known as the flood control strategy, was approved by City Council in 2018. In 2019, the federal government approved the funding application through the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund of 40% of the estimated construction cost to execute 9 projects to address flooding in at least 10 of the most at-risk flood locations within Saskatoon. The total Government of Canada contribution is approximately $21.6 million. Our first project, which included construction of a dry pond at W.W. Ashley Park, was complete in 2022. Our second project, which includes construction of a dry pond at Churchill Park, is now open to the public and will be complete in October of 2023. Construction is also ongoing for the third flood control strategy project, which includes the dry pond at Weaver Park. The following slides will discuss the upcoming project at Brevoort Park South, which will be the fourth of the 9 projects to be completed as part of the flood control strategy. Flooding in the Brevoort Park neighborhood has been a long-term issue. The main reason for flooding in the area is due to a lack of a major stormwater storage system in the neighborhood and the design standards that were in place at the time the neighborhood was constructed, causing capacity issues of the storm sewer. Neighborhoods are now developed with a major system stormwater storage through wet and dry ponds, roadway stormwater storage, and linear parks, which were not used for stormwater management when this neighborhood was developed. Design standards were also changed in 1990, accounting for increased levels of runoff to be drained through the storm sewer infrastructure. Known flooding occurs near the intersection and surrounding area of Early Drive and Tucker Crescent. At this location, as many as 41 buildings experience flooding, with many other properties experiencing some level of ponding during significant storm events. Flood images from the June 2022 rain event are shown in these 2 pictures. Administration presented the feasibility study and concept plan of the upgraded storm sewer infrastructure and underground storage project to City Council in May 2023. The project was approved by City Council and will help mitigate flooding for this high-risk flood location. Since the approval of this project in May 2023, the project team has been working on design plans and projected costs for this project. Construction costs for sewer projects in the city increased significantly in 2023. Considering this and the estimated costs for the preferred storage methodology of this project, a portion of the stormwater flood volume to be reduced at the intersection of Early Drive and Tucker Crescent may need to be stored above ground in combination with the underground storage units. The above-ground storage would be a small dry pond to hold water during significant rain events and would work in combination with the underground stormwater storage infrastructure. The above-ground storage would be designed to be dry outside of significant rain events and take on water during the rain events as it's connected to the storm sewer system and can provide additional capacity to prevent flooding. Considering potential increased costs and generally underground storage tanks cost more than above ground stormwater storage methodologies, the city will be tendering the construction contract with an option methodology approach. With this approach, Two options will be presented for the bidders to provide costs for. The preferred construction plan will be to install the full amount of required storage, which is approximately 9,000 cubic meters of stormwater through underground storage tanks. This is known as Plan A in this presentation. If this methodology is too costly and causes the project to be over the maximum approved budget, then some above ground storage would be constructed in combination with underground storage to bring the project within budget limits. The above ground storage is known as Plan B in this presentation. The concept design plans for both Plan A and Plan B are described in the next few slides. Plan A. Again, this is the preferred choice and will be selected if the contracted costs are received within budget. This methodology has the 9,000 cubic meters of stormwater to be stored underground in Brevoort Park South. The park would be re-landscaped with new sod after the storage tanks are installed and connected to the storm sewer infrastructure. The park space would be similar to how it looks today, which is an available green space providing a variety of recreational opportunities. Plan B is the backup option, which may be required due to total project cost limits. With this plan, a minimum of 83% or 7,500 cubic meters of stormwater would be stored through the underground storage tanks. The remaining 17% or 1,500 cubic meters of stormwater will be stored above ground through a small dry pond. A concept plan that shows the configuration of the proposed underground and above ground storage solution is shown in the following slides. The city will tender the contract in a way that the underground storage volume can be maximized, minimizing the required storage and size of the dry pond within project budget. First, the existing conditions of Brevoort Park South are shown on this image. Brevoort Park South currently contains an allocated field, as well as trees surrounding the perimeter of the park area. The top part of the image shows the aerial view of the park if you were looking straight down on the park from above. The lower part of the image shows a cross-section which shows what the park looks like if you were looking at it from the ground level looking northwest. Next is the design for Plan A, 100% underground storage. Once the park is re-landscaped to existing conditions, park users will not be able to see any installed infrastructure. Approximately 6 trees will be removed for the installation of the underground stormwater storage tanks. The trees to be removed are identified as the red circles on this site plan. The green space that can be used for recreation will be re-established to how it looks today. The aerial view shows the perimeter trees will remain and the current green space available for recreation will be restored to existing conditions. New tree plantings will also be considered for the park, which are not shown on this image. The additional tree planting information will be provided at a later date. The bottom of the image shows the cross-sectional view of the park providing a view from the ground level. The underground storage tanks are shown below ground level, where they will store 9,000 cubic meters of stormwater during significant rain events. The underground storage tanks cannot be seen from surface. This is the design for Plan B, combined underground storage and above ground storage. In this design, approximately 17% of the total required volume, or 1,500 cubic meters of stormwater, needs to be stored in a small dry pond in combination with the underground storage tanks. The small dry pond would be constructed in the south end of Brevoort Park South, while the underground storage would be installed in the remainder of the park towards the north. The dry pond would remain dry outside of significant rain events, but provide additional stormwater storage to the system once the underground storage tanks are full. The depth of water in the dry pond during significant rain events would be about 1 meter. The reason for developing a Plan B is due to budget limits of this project. Some grading improvements will be made along the perimeter of the park in addition to the dry pond to ensure the park areas are connected and functions to our standards. 2 54 by 22 meter fields would be available to the north of the dry pond area. Approximately 9 trees would be removed if this option is constructed. New tree plantings will also be considered for the park, which are not shown on this image. The additional tree planting information will be determined at a later date. From the cross-sectional view shown on the bottom of the image, which details how the park would look from the ground level, you can see the underground storage would be installed from Early Drive headed south into the park. The small dry pond would be constructed at the south end of the park, which would be connected to the underground storage infrastructure. From the ground level view, you can see the small dry pond is to the south of the green space that can be used for recreation. The underground storage tanks would not be visible from the surface. The construction schedule will be finalized once the project contract has been tendered and awarded in the winter of 2023-2024. The project will be completed in 4 general phases. The first phase will be underground storage excavation. The next phase will be storm sewer infrastructure and underground storage construction. The third phase will be landscape construction, and the final phase will be landscape maintenance. The work zones for the project will include Brevoort Park South will be under construction from early 2024 until landscaping has established in the fall of 2025. Early Drive from Tucker Crescent to Brevoort Park South and 3rd Street from Early Drive to Preston Avenue South would be under construction between May to October 2024 for storm sewer installation. The preliminary work areas are shown on the next slide. This slide shows a preliminary construction map of the project. This map also shows the construction area for the work phases that are described in the next few slides. The green lines show the new storm sewer infrastructure to be installed under roadways on Early Drive and 3rd Street East. The underground storage tanks, and if required, above ground storage would drain to the existing system along 3rd Street to the storm sewer system on Preston Avenue South. The first phase will be excavation to rough grade for the underground storage tanks. Construction will likely start around February 2024. Winter excavation was previously completed for the 3 existing flood control strategy projects and went very well. Some advantages of winter excavation include limiting the amount of construction traffic in summer months, managing dust conditions, and increasing the amount of landscape construction that can be completed in the regular construction season, which will decrease the amount of time required for landscaping maintenance and sod establishment once the construction is complete. The picture on this slide is the excavation footprint in the north end of Weaver Park. The excavation footprint at Brevoort Park South would be similar, but mostly backfilled once the underground storage tanks are installed. The excavation will include about 40,000 cubic meters of material to be dug out. The excavation will range between 5.5 to 6 meters deep. Again, the excavation will be filled in with the installation of the underground storage tanks, and then material placed back over top of the tanks once they are installed. The next phase of the project will be the storm sewer infrastructure upgrades and underground storage tank installation, which will start in the regular construction season around May 2024. The upgraded storm infrastructure will include new storm pipe segments under roadways and connecting to the underground storage tanks. The left image shows an example of the underground storage units that could be installed as part of this project. The supplier of the underground storage is still to be determined, and we will follow our City of Saskatoon procurement procedures. The example image of the underground storage tanks is to provide the public an example of what it could look like. The underground storage tanks supplied may look slightly different depending on the awarded supplier. The right image is from the 2023 Weaver Park project, which shows an example of storm pipe installation under roadways. This type of construction will occur on Early Drive and 3rd Street East, connecting the storm sewer infrastructure to fill and drain the stormwater storage area in Brevoort Park South. The third phase of the project will be the landscape construction. This will include sod, trees, and other potential landscape features. The construction plan for the landscaping will be dependent on the amounts of underground and above ground dry pond storage to be constructed, as previously discussed in this presentation. Landscape construction will likely occur between July to October 2024, after the storm sewer and underground storage tanks have been installed in Brevoort Park South. The final phase of the project will be landscape maintenance, which will occur for approximately 1 year after phase 3 is complete. The re-landscaped area may be out of service in 2025 until final completion is granted. The exact date the park will open to the public is dependent on construction progress and landscape establishment and will be communicated to the public when known. An image of landscaping completed at the Churchill Park project is shown on this slide for reference of an upgraded park space. This slide summarizes the 4 phases discussed in the previous slides. Exact dates and schedules will be communicated in 2024 once the project contract has been awarded, but the preliminary schedule for the project will be the following. Phase 1, excavation to be completed in the winter from February to April 2024. Phase 2, storm sewer infrastructure upgrades and underground storage tank installation will be completed from May to September in the regular construction season of 2024. Phase 3, landscape construction will likely occur between July to October 2024. Phase 4, landscape maintenance will occur once Phase 3 is complete. The duration of the landscape maintenance phase will be dependent on construction progress made in 2024 and landscape establishment in 2025, but will be approximately 1 year in length and will extend into 2025. The next two slides will explain what the park area will look like after construction. If Plan A is constructed, the park space will be returned to pre-existing conditions and elevations. New sod would be installed once the underground storage tanks are constructed and covered up with backfill. The 6 trees that run in the interior of Brevoort Park South will be removed for the installation of the storm sewer pipe and underground storage tanks. Replacement trees will be planted as part of the project. The location of the trees to be removed is shown on this site plan with the red circles. The cross-sectional view or view from the ground level shows all the stormwater to be stored is underground and cannot be seen from surface during significant rain events. The underground storage tanks shown in the previous slides are now full with water to store approximately 9,000 cubic meters of water that would have previously flooded the nearby intersection and private properties during significant rain events. This is shown in the blue rectangle below ground in the cross-sectional view at the bottom of the image. If Plan B is required due to budgetary limits, the small dry pond would be constructed in combination with the underground storage tanks. The small dry pond near the south edge of the park is shown here filled with water during a significant rain event, storing water from the nearby intersection of Early Drive and Tucker Crescent. This small dry pond area would be connected to the underground storage tanks and take on water once the tanks are at capacity. The depth of water in the dry pond will be approximately 1 meter. Water will only be in the dry pond area during significant rain events. Outside of these rain events, it will remain dry. It should be noted that at least 7,500 cubic meters of the 9,000 cubic meters, or 83% of the stormwater, will be stored underground in the installed storage tanks and cannot be seen from surface if this methodology is selected. This dry pond space could be developed as a toboggan hill for winter recreation. Approximately 9 trees will be removed if this design option is chosen. The area outside of the dry pond can be used for recreation. Underground storage tanks will function similar to a dry pond. The tanks would be connected to the new storm sewer infrastructure to be connected to the intersection of Early Drive and Tucker Crescent. Water that currently ponds near the intersection would drain into the new storm sewer infrastructure and large underground storage tanks. Once the rain event has passed and the overall storm sewer system has capacity, the storage tanks would drain through the new infrastructure installed on Early Drive and 3rd Street East, connecting to the existing storm sewer on Preston Avenue South. Then the stormwater would ultimately drain to the South Saskatchewan River through the existing storm sewer network. As previously stated, the picture on this slide shows an example of underground storage units that could be installed as part of this project. The supplier of the underground storage is still to be determined, and we will follow our City of Saskatoon procurement procedures. The example image of the underground storage tanks is to provide the public an example of what it could look like. The underground storage tanks supplied may look slightly different depending on the awarded supplier. The underground storage tanks, or potentially small dry pond in combination with the underground storage tanks, will fill in about 70 minutes during a significant rain event and then drain in approximately 6 hours. There will be a small lag time of 20 to 25 minutes after a significant rain event starts before stormwater starts entering the new infrastructure, as the new infrastructure has been designed to fill once the existing system reaches capacity. Safety of the public and users of Brevoort Park South is the highest priority of the design team. Safety and access will be considered if storage is required through a small dry pond in the construction plans for this project. Warning signs, shown on the left image, would be installed along the perimeter of the pond to warn the public to not enter the dry pond when it contains stormwater. Additionally, more detailed informational signage similar to the image on the right would be installed at select locations around Brevoort Park South to further educate park users of the safety considerations if the dry pond is to be included in the design and construction plans based on the budgetary limits of the flood control strategy program. If there are features or amenities you would like to see the city incorporate into the project, please let us know. Contact details are provided on the next slide. All feedback is subject to review by the design team and will be only executed if they fit into the overall landscape plan of the project and within budget. We are committed to providing the best overall product to the community while reducing the flood risk for many property owners in this area. We would appreciate landscape feedback from the community to potentially be incorporated into this project. We hope that this presentation has answered some of the questions you may have had about the flood control strategy and the upcoming project to be constructed at Brevoort Park South. If not, or if you have any other concerns, please contact us either by phone or email, and we will make sure to get the information to you. Also, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to bi-weekly updates about this project. Construction updates will start in early 2024 before construction starts. We will be in contact in the near future with the information regarding the fall 2023 public engagement event for this project. Thank you very much for watching.